What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Body Lock. It's Ant Walker, joined with Matt Wells and Drake Riggs here talking about UFC 261. Notably, we are going to talk about the main event. Kamaru Usman, your welterweight champion, is going to defend his belt against Jorge Masvidal. Man, I don't really know what to make of this. This doesn't. Why? Fellas, why are we doing this?
We are doing it because I guess Kamaru mentioning that, hey, I'll do a rematch because Masvidal claimed that he wasn't 100% because he didn't have a full camp. So I guess the UFC took that and ran with it. It just makes no sense from any standpoint. From merit, it doesn't make any sense. I think even for a popularity standpoint of an opponent, you have another guy that's out there that's equally as popular in a Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, which I think was the more perfect matchup to put here. But nevertheless, here we are, Jorge Masvidal getting a rematch without winning a fight after he last lost to Usman, or taking a fight even, gets an immediate crack at the title again. In a fight where he lost 50-45 on two scorecards and only won one round on the other judge's scorecard. So very interesting, to say the least. It just doesn't. I'm not a fan of this rematch whatsoever. I'm not a fan of title rematches in general, especially when the challenger loses coming in. So I don't understand this.
Drake, please, can you make any sense of this matchup?
All I just want to say, you guys, is that Joe Soto got screwed. Joe Soto, justice for that guy. Not even a day's notice, jumps in, loses, similar fashion to Masvidal very clearly. Where's the guy get his respect? Give him an instant rematch. If we're doing this, same thing, right? But no, I have zero interest in this rematch, and we kind of all, I think, felt that way as soon as Usman and Burns ended, and Usman was kind of talking about it, and it became a small thing, and yada yada. But just to play the devil's advocate, the reason that it is happening is because of the business side, right? I'm gonna speak for Pat here, Pat, who is not here. Of course, rematch between Masvidal and Usman. Masvidal, became a very popular star. Of course, his star power has died down, I would say, all things considered, since losing that fight, of course, the first time around, and so convincingly, but still bad blood between the two, and the back and forth banter that they've had, Usman kind of being more aggressive about it and open to it, and then the fact that they both have their Florida ties, and the event taking place in Florida. Oh, as Matt was saying in the last video, oh, that's very enticing for them. Yeah, we'll take that. It'll be awesome. Sell out the crowd. It just, I think that if they weren't going back to Florida for this event for 261, maybe we wouldn't have gotten it there, because what they were originally talking about, September maybe, and it seemed like things were pointing to it just being that 261 being a 2 title fight card with Weili and Rose, and then Valentina and Andrade in Vegas. But then, all right, they worked out the deal. Florida's going to let us in. We proposed this to them, so they were all in on it. And of course, 3 title fight card again. We already discussed that's more exciting for, the not so much the casual. The casual fan will eat up this rematch surely more than, maybe people who follow closer. But the people who follow closer, 3 title fights, will still take that, right? So I think that ultimately it is a win-win a bit for every type of fan, and the reason that it would make sense from that side of things. But of course, I agree with you guys fully, and most people, I think, most logical people, that this should not be the fight that's happening. I don't see it going any differently, and if it does, I think Usman probably wins more convincingly than the first time. I was so excited and intrigued for the possibility of that Wonderboy fight, seemingly all the more possible with what happened in Edwards and Muhammad. But here we are. Now I'm sad again.
Yeah, it's the only sense I can make of this is that it is from the perspective of Kamaru Usman. You don't necessarily have an absolute clear-cut number one contender considering that you got rid of Masvidal in your last one, you got rid of Colby, and he's got the one win over Woodley since, and that's probably not enough to earn a rematch. You just disposed of Burns, and you've like, he has done a good job of cleaning out the division without being the champion for that long. When you look at all the names he's fought in that top 10, and he's beaten all but like 2 or 3 of them, something like that. Wonder Boy being included on that list. So for Usman, it's like, okay, well, if I don't have the absolute clear-cut number one contender right now, especially given the Leon Edwards thing that just happened Saturday, like, man, I sure could use an easy payday. Wait, what was my biggest payday? Yeah, that time I fought Jorge Masvidal. So from Usman's perspective, it's like, hey, I can get almost a guaranteed title defense with the most money that I've ever made doing that all over again. That just seems like true prize fighting. So from Usman's standpoint, yeah, this is fantastic. This is wonderful. And if you're Masvidal, yeah, I'll take that second crack at the belt that I didn't earn. So why not? And yeah, I got paid pretty handsomely the first time. Yeah, I want to run that back. So that makes sense from the standpoint of those two men. But we've seen champions not get what they want many times from the UFC. I mean, we can think of Jose Aldo begging for a lightweight title fight for several years into his featherweight run in the UFC and being denied every time. We can think of Anderson Silva wanting to box Roy Jones when he was the hottest thing smoking in mixed martial arts and just annihilating everyone in the middleweight division. He didn't get that. So there is a clear precedent set for champions not getting exactly what they wanted. So with that being said, maybe this is one of those times where Usman should not have gotten exactly what he wanted.
No, 100% he shouldn't have gotten this. And I think we're looking at this kind of wrong, right? Because I think Kamaru, he fought his way to earn a rematch against the guy he beat, right? You know, he beat Masvidal, and he had to go out and win another fight to get another crack at Masvidal again. So I think we're looking at this a little bit backwards here, guys. I think Masvidal is the champion. That BMF title holds some real weight around in the UFC, apparently. It's just crazy because you also think about what's going on with Leon Edwards as well. Guy who's on an 8-fight win streak gets the unfortunate no contest, and then everybody's like, nah, you still got to win another one. Meanwhile, let's give Masvidal another crack, even though he just lost. Like, there's so much backwards ass shit that goes on with these title shots. It's just so frustrating. Yeah, if anybody agrees with this match, I mean, I get the business side where it makes sense for both of them to want to take this fight. Usman can show up, make a lot of money, win a fight that he is very confident in winning again. And of course, if you're Masvidal, you're not going to turn down the title shot, obviously, right? Like, I don't care who thinks, like, I don't think that there's a fighter that's really out there that's, you know, that's, I guess, into the whole merit side of things to where they're going to turn down a championship payday. I just don't believe that whatsoever, especially in MMA, right? Even in boxing, if that were the case. But so from that standpoint, it makes sense for those guys. But when you have guys like, you know, Leon Edwards, who's out there, who's on an 8-fight win streak, his main event last weekend left a little bit of a bitter taste in everybody's mouth. And you also have a Stephen Thompson who's out there, who's winning, looking fantastic, always at the top of the division, who has not fought Usman yet. Fresh matchup. It just makes more sense to go in either one of those directions, in my opinion. But here we are again. Let's just run this back. And I think it's just something that the UFC put together, like Drake hinted at earlier, because, hey, I could see Dana calling these guys up real quick. I don't know when this fight was made. I'm just saying, hypothetically, I could see this playing out where Dana made the call to Florida and, you know, they were like, yeah, we're interested. And like, what can you give us? And then Dana was like, oh, give me 1 second. Calls up Usman. Hey, do you want to fight Masvidal again? I can get you. You know, I want to be the first to fill up an arena again. We can go to Florida and we can do it in Florida. You and Masvidal again. It'll be big money. Yeah. Usman's like, yeah, that's easy money for me. Why not?
Or
Masvidal, same thing.
I could see a scenario where like Dana has the text in his drafts, like rematch with Masvidal, and it's in his drafts, and then the moment that no contest was declared in the main event Saturday, send. Like,
Yeah.
But you know what? One thing I just thought of this too. Like we can talk about deserving challengers, and how short of a conversation that would be. Especially when you mention Masvidal's claim for a title shot. But, and forgive me for speaking in favor of someone who I personally find to be a complete buffoon, but Colby Covington has done more to earn a rematch at the title than Jorge Masvidal. Like, he is a more deserving challenger. And he also too, from the standpoint of their first fight, it was a much more competitive fight.
Yep.
It is actually a fight that we could run back and see it becoming, entertaining again. So I'm just really amazed that this is the direction they're going. And on top of that, Colby Covington also a man who trains in Florida. So,
Yep.
It checks all the boxes, including the ones more related to the meritocracy of the sport. So just throwing that out there.
The funny thing to me kind of about all of this, the more that we dissect it, is like, in terms of instant gratification, I think there's a couple ways to maximize that with multiple options. Like, let's say we go with Usman Wonderboy, which is the fresh matchup, an exciting stylistic matchup. Throw that on top of this card, as is with the other two title fights that we have. 3 total, the big shebang, still a big deal, I would say. Then you still have Covington and Covington and Masvidal to do. That rich feud that everyone's talking about. Oh, we got to have that for the Ultimate Fighter. Just make it happen. Makes too much sense not to do that fight. Skipping out on it. But then with what happened with Leon, I think that maybe opens a door too, to where Wonderboy gets left out, obviously. Now, I would imagine we'll probably get Colby and Edwards. But in terms of, what would have been, I think, a good idea for, maximizing potential of, if you want to grab the most attention with multiple options, like I said, do Wonderboy and Usman atop this three title fight card in, your big comeback to full capacity. And then you still got to milk that, Covington and Masvidal fight, which actually makes sense. That one doesn't, it's not a crazy thing to do. Whereas you're giving a guy who lost his last fight convincingly to the champion getting an instant rematch just because it was short notice. And like I said, we've seen that before. Joe Soto, justice for Joe Soto. Come on. So, I just think that there's different ways they could have, if they're going to be looking at that business side again, you could have maximized this in a greater capacity. And surely, like I said, we will probably get Edwards, Covington, maybe for TUF now instead. I have no idea, but I would imagine that's probably the fight they'll make in terms of the other contenders.
Right, and you still have Wonderboy and Bilal Muhammad in the mix now, as far as what happens at the top of the welterweight division. So this is definitely granted this is taking place in a capacity crowd in Florida. And that's confusing enough. That's enough to kind of rattle my brain. But this is the most brain rattling part about it for me, is Usman, defending his title yet again against Jorge Masvidal, or correction, Kamaru Usman challenging for the BMF belt yet again against Jorge Masvidal. So that's just, I'm floored by that. So definitely, we'd love to know your thoughts on this matchup. So just hit that comment section up. Let us know what you think. If you like the video, like it. If you don't like it anyway. Subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend, tell that friend to tell 10 more friends, and stay tuned to the Body Lock for more UFC 261 discussion. Peace.